I'm going to show you how I make my bluebird houses. You can start with a 1x6, which lots of times is 5.5 inches wide. But I use this rough cut lumber that's actually almost 6 inches wide. Doesn't matter. But you're going to get a board that's about 4 feet long and measure off a 4-inch piece for the floor. And the side, you're going to measure 9 1/4 up here and make a mark. 10 1/4 here, so that whole thing right there is 19.5 inches from there to there, and from there to there, and then measure out and draw this line here. So 9 1/4, this is 9 1/4. So this is going to be your sides, so we're going to have that slanted roof, and then the front here is 9 3/8. The rest of the board you can use to make the back. Now on the front, you're going to have your hole, which is 1.5 inch hole, up 6.5 inches from the bottom. So you'll drill that. The roof should be about 10.5 by 9.5, just so that it got overhang over your birdhouse. And when you do the floor, cut off the corners like this, so that you can have airflow up through there and also drainage of any water, moisture, whatever gets in there. Now this particular house, the side will fold out, allowing you to clean out the house every year. That's really important. If you build a house that you can't clean easily, then you probably won't clean it, and then your birds won't come back and nest in there. So this pivots with a pivot screw here and over on the other side, and this just folds out and you can clean it out. These pivot screws, if you measure up from the bottom 8 inches, get them both the same, or else it won't pivot right. The floor, you want to recess up in the bottom about 1/4 inch. And when I put my nail in the side here, so that this thing won't kick out, your nail's going right down through to hold that closed, I drill a hole slightly bigger than the nail on an angle like this. Then I just slide the nail down into it. That way next year when I go out there, I can just pull that nail out and flip up the side to do the cleaning. Okay, so here's my rough cut lumber that I was telling you about. It measures almost 6 inches wide. This is hemlock, and I had it sawed at the local mill here. I've gone ahead and marked off so you can see these pieces that you're going to cut out. That's the extra birdhouse right there, and you're going to take a little piece off the end to make the back. Now, like my dad used to say, we're not building a Swiss watch, we're building a birdhouse, so it hasn't got to be perfect. Okay, there's our bottom. Alright, we'll look at our plan here. We're going to do the sides next. So 9 1/4 and 10 1/4, that is 19.5. So we'll go ahead and measure off our 19.5. Okay, there's our sides. So according to the plan here, we're going to measure up 9 1/4, 9 1/4. We'll draw a line there. There we go. Okay, so when you put your birdhouse together, here's the side with that slanted roof. It goes like that, same with this side. The tall is back here in the back, so your front goes on so that it covers the two sides. You see what I mean? Because keep in mind that screw is going to go in there so that this side can pivot out like this. So you're going to drill up 8 inches from the bottom, get a screw in there. And when you put your back on, this is so tall because this part is actually going to be sticking down below the house. So when that's on there, you'll come up 8 inches from the bottom again put a screw in there, so then you have a screw on both ends here that'll flop up so you can clean. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to nail this on, and we're going to put our one pivot screw right here. So I turn this thing sideways so you can see the side. This is the front. And as you can see, the side's a little bit shorter according to the measurements, and that'll allow an air space right here for ventilation. So when you put your top on, or your front on, I'm sorry, you line it up. This is the bottom of the house here. So you line it up right even here when you do your nailing. Okay, so we're going to put our nails in. Put in a few nails. Get everything going. You know, it's February, first week of February, so we got to start thinking about those birds coming back. And those bluebirds are a pretty cool bird, so we want to be ready for them. Alright, now we'll measure up 8 inches. Make a little mark here. And I like to pre-drill this one just to make sure that that screw is going to go in there straight. I'm going to drive that in there. So there we go. We got our front on. Here's the side that's going to pivot like that. Here's the bottom that's going to go in there. Now the next thing we got to do is cut our corners off our bottom so we have that drainage and ventilation so airflow can come up through the bottom of the house. Okay, so now we'll get our bottom in there, and like we said, it doesn't not flush with the bottom. Stick it in there like a 1/4 inch or so, like that. We'll go ahead and stick a couple nails, hold that thing in there. Alright, there we go. I'll put a couple more in there, but there's our bottom in there. Okay, now we'll stick the back on, and I'll turn it this way just so you can see the back. You want to make sure it sticks up a 1/4 inch. So when you put your roof on there, you're going to have an air space in there, a crack all along these two sides here, and that'll let some ventilation come out of there. So make sure that back is sticking up like that. Before you nail that back, you want to make sure that you know where your pivot screw is. This is the front over here. Okay, there's the pivot screw. So as the back goes on there, you're going to be putting a pivot screw on this side, and you're going to be nailing this side. So if you flop it up like this, I'm going to have that sticking up, like I said, a 1/4 inch or so. Like that. Look here, there's the pivot screw. So we're going to measure up 8 inches from this bottom right here. 8 inches. And right there is the 8-inch mark. And so right there is where we're going to drill through so that we have our 2 pivot screws lined right up. So measure up 8 inches from the bottom of the house, not down here, but the bottom of the house, 8 inches, 8 inches. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to drill our hole with that pivot screw. That's going to pivot out kind of tight. There we go. Just like that. Now we'll drill that 1.5-inch hole. If you have a drill press, it's easier if you just do this before you nail this on. That's what I usually do. Okay, so we're starting to look like a birdhouse here now. All we need is our roof. Alright, got our roof cut out. There we go. It goes on like this. It's a little bit warped, so I'll put that warp side up. And here you can see that air space there on the side. And it's going to be even in the back, so when you put it up against your post, it can fit on the post okay. Okay, so make yourself some bluebird houses and enjoy those bluebirds this summer. Thanks for watching, everybody.